I am now the owner of an Infernal Max Cape. In the last video, I spent 43 hours inside the hardest solo challenge in the game, the Inferno, and secured myself an Infernal Cape on both my main and my UIM. The Infernal Cape is the best in slot melee cape item in the game, but more importantly, it's a status symbol. The fact that I have this cape proves that I can beat the Inferno, and it's now going to be a staple of my melee loadout going forward. Now is a pretty good time to talk about my equipment loadouts as a whole. I have near-maxed ranged and near-maxed mage, and by that I mean I have the best in slot equipment sets for each, and the raids mega rares for them as well. But my melee loadout leaves a lot to be desired. My best helmet is the Serp Helm, like it's 2015 or something. My best chest slot item is the Fighter Torso, something that you can get really early in the game, and my best melee leg slot item, I don't even have one. I've just been camping the Masori Chaps whenever I use melee. This is kind of embarrassing, and that's why the next major long-term goal on my account is to get a melee loadout that rivals my ranged and magic loadouts. I'm going to start with the Slayer grind, and that is partially because there's a few nice melee upgrades I can get from Slayer, and partially because I just really enjoy it. Slayer is one of my favorite things to do in this game. It's like a lot of mini grinds that all give decent chances at different account upgrades. I have a few specific things that I want to get from this grind, so let's talk about the wish list. First off is the Amulet of Rancor from Araxxor, which is a direct upgrade to my Amulet of Torture and is the best in slot next slot item for melee. I also want to get the Noxious Halberd, also from Araxxor, which is going to be my new best slash weapon since my current best option is the Abyssal Whip. This also makes it my best choice for when I go back to the Theater of Blood in search of a scythe. The next few items are going to be from Tormented Demons. First off, I want to get the Burning Claws, which will be the first DPS spec weapon I ever get, outside of the Dragon Dagger, which I can just buy whenever I need it. I also need 2 Tormented Synapses, one to turn into the Emberlight, and another to turn into the Purging Staff. The Emberlight is a permanent upgrade to my Arclight, and it's storable. The Purging Staff isn't storable, but it's basically required for a certain boss that I'm going to be grinding in the future. The next 2 items I want to get are from the Dagannoth Kings, the Berserker Ring and the Seer's Ring. I want to eventually get the upgrades for these from the Desert Treasure 2 bosses, so it'll be good to just get the base versions taken care of during this grind. And finally, I also want to get the Picasian and Eternal Crystals from Cerberus. Jagex has already announced the Avernic Treads, which are the new best in slot Tribrid boots that they're adding with Varlamore Part 3, and they can be combined with all the Cerberus boots to upgrade them with additional bonuses. And in the back of my mind this entire time, I'm going to be thinking about the Imbued Heart. This item is a huge upgrade for my magic loadout, but it's also ridiculously rare. It's dropped by all superior Slayer monsters and has a rate ranging from 1 in 160 for the most powerful superiors to 1 in 1376 from the weakest. And as a reminder, superiors spawn at a rate of 1 in 200 when I kill a Slayer monster that has one. Getting the Imbued Heart on this grind would be insane for the account, but I'm not exactly getting my hopes up. Realistically, this is something I would have to spend a very long time grinding for in the future. So that's the goal for this video. I'm going to be doing a lot of Slayer and hopefully getting a lot of upgrades. To start off, I need to make some changes to my Slayer settings. First off, I am disabling the Basilisk perk, which means I can't get Basilisk tasks anymore. That's fine, because I'm no longer going to be trying to get the Basilisk Jaw for the Natus Not Face card. That's no longer a part of the plan. I'm also going to be unblocking 3 tasks on my block list: Greater Demons, Dagannoths, and Abyssal Demons. Greater Demons and Dagannoths should be obvious. I need those tasks to get some of the items I'm looking for. And for the Abyssal Demons, that's because they are a decently quick task that has superiors and high-level superiors at that. There's also some new things that I'm going to want to buy from the Slayer rewards, but before I get to those, I need to get some Slayer points. The strategy I'm using here is called point boosting, and it takes advantage of the fact that you get a bunch of bonus Slayer points when your task streak reaches a multiple of 10. So basically you can do 9 really easy tasks from Turiel, Ea, I forgot that Turiel got replaced after the events of Wild Gothic Sleeps, and then you can do a normal task at Kuradal, or Konar. That means that every normal task you do gives way more points than it would otherwise. So let's get to it. My current task streak is 18, and I currently have a Gargoyle task, so I guess I'll finish that one off before I start on the point boosting grind. Cool, task complete. That was easy, and actually that makes my streak 19, so the next one should give me bonus points. Black Dragons, that is a super quick one with the baby Black Dragons in the Taverley Dungeon. Okay, now that one's done, let's show off how this boosting method works. I'm gonna do 9 tasks from Ea really quick. And there we go, I'm now at 29 tasks done, so this next one should give me more bonus points. Ooh, a Hellhound task. We are going back to Cerberus. Oh, I just realized this is the first time I'm going to be using the Twisted Bow here, so yeah, the Twisted Bow is actually really good at Cerberus, since the boss's magic level is so high, so my DPS is going to be kind of crazy here. Cerberus Veteran, that is for 75 KC. Oh, hey, there's the Pegasian Crystal. There we go, that's one of the 2 drops I'm looking for from here. Okay, so this crystal is going to be going into the looting bag for the long haul. Eventually, I'm going to get Ranger Boots on this account, and then I will be able to combine those with the Pegasian Crystal to make Pegasian Boots. And then I'll be able to combine those with the Avernic Treads to give them even more range bonuses. And I won't have to go do a Cerberus grind to get the crystal since I've already gotten it. You know, I just realized that I started killing Cerberus on this account for the first time earlier in the series, back in episode 6 to be exact, and I didn't get a chance to really talk much about the fight because oh my god! So here's how the fight works. Cerberus is pretty unique as a boss because her attacks operate on a schedule instead of being purely random or following a simple attack cycle. The schedule changes depending on her current HP, and there are some strats that you can use to take advantage of that and prevent certain attacks from happening, but it's typically slower to do that, so I don't bother. Most of her attacks are a basic auto attack, which can hit with any combat style randomly, so I'm just camping Protect from Magic and staying at a distance so that she'll never use the melee one and I can block half of her autos. She also has 3 special attacks that she uses periodically. One is a triple attack where she'll hit an auto attack 3 times in rapid succession, specifically using magic, then range, then melee, in that order. So if you know this attack is coming, like for example, she always uses it as her first attack, you can block all 3 hits and take 0 damage. The second special spawns a few lava pools that deal damage if you stand on them or next to them, and the third is the bane of all Iron Men, the ghost attack. She'll spawn 3 ghosts with different colors, and they'll each use an attack with the style that matches their color that deals 30 damage. However, if you pray against the attack, it instead drains 30 prayer points. So for one, you have to have enough prayer points to not get reduced all the way to 0 and not be able to block the last attack. You also need to use a prayer potion immediately after the last attack and turn your prayer back on, and even if you do everything right, it eats up to 90 prayer points from you, and that's a lot of doses of prayer potion wasted. The ideal scenario is to be a bit above 60 prayer points when the attack starts, so the first 2 will drain you down to the single digits, and the last attack will only drain those last few prayer points you had remaining. Overall, the fight is pretty simple, all things considered, but it can definitely catch you off guard if it manages to hit big with a few auto attacks in a row, or if it does the lava pool attack just before the ghosts start attacking you, which is possible. Cerberus Master, that is the CA for 150 KC at Cerberus, and it's also the last Cerberus combat achievement I had left, so once I get an Eternal Crystal, I am done with this boss forever. And there we go, that is the end of the task. I'm gonna keep doing any Cerberus tasks I get until I have the Eternal Crystal, at which point I will probably block Hellhounds because they're a pretty common task from Kuradal, jeez. Alright, checking in after a bit of point boosting, and at this point I'm feeling comfortable enough in the point total to do my first big purchase of the grind, which will be extending Araxxites for 150 points. Araxxites have a notoriously low number of kills you can be assigned by default, and I don't want to get caught off guard by an Araxxite task that only allows 60 kills on the boss. I'll also be doing the same for Greater Demons in a bit, but I don't want to spend that many points just yet. Anyway, the next task is... oh boy, we are going to the Dagannoth Kings. Oh, the Dagannoth Kings. I have a bit of a history here. Way back in the day, late 2021 to be exact, I camped Dagannoth Rex for a frankly ridiculous amount of time to try and get the Berserker Ring on my UIM. It took me 703 KC to get it, and it's a 1 in 128 drop, so not only did I go 5.5 times the drop rate, it also got me just a few ranks away from the front page on the high scores for that boss. And I also want to mention, this wasn't just 703 KC to get a drop, it was 703 KC in the Dagannoth King's lair. At the time, the DK's lair was arguably the single most dangerous place to go on a UIM outside of PvP areas, because if you died, it was really hard to get your stuff back. The Dagannoth Kings are located at the very bottom of the Waterworth Island dungeon, past 16 rooms of dangerous dangerous enemies that can take you out if you're not praying correctly, and not only that, in order to make it to the end of the dungeon in the first place, you have to have a pet rock to open a door that requires 2 people to stand in specific spots, and a rune throne axe to open a door that requires you to hit 3 targets in quick succession with a ranged attack. So if you died, you had to pretty quickly figure out how you were going to get those items, make it down to the boss room, and recover your death pile while being under fire by the Dagannoth Kings. I also want to mention this because I realized this while editing the video. This was before the death mechanic changes for UIMs, so if you died in there, your death pile would persist for 1 hour real time, and it would stay on one specific world, so it was much less forgiving at the time than it would be now. But now, it's not 2021 anymore, and last year, Jagex added an update to the Waterbirth Island dungeon that makes it much safer to fight the Dagannoth Kings. There are 2 new agility shortcuts here, one that bypasses the item requirements, and one that skips almost all of the run through the dungeon. So now, not only is it a lot quicker to get to the Dagannoth Kings, it's also a much safer process to recover your items if something goes wrong. I've never actually done Tribrid DKs before. I've only did that one initial grind of 703 Rex KC, and I went back once to get a kill of all 3 DKs for the Fremenic Diaries, so I'm actually really excited to try this out, especially because I have the gear to make it pretty easy. The Tribrid method is all about DPS and timing. You have 3 powerful enemies on you that all use different combat styles, so your goal is to only be fighting one of them at a time so you can pray against just that one and not be taking damage. They each have individual respawn timers, so you'll want to time it so that you have enough time to kill the one you're focusing on before the next one respawns. I feel like it's going to be pretty tricky to learn, especially because my melee gear is significantly worse than my ranged and magic gear, but we'll see how it goes. And finally, like I said earlier, the 2 things I'm looking for here are the Berserker Ring and the Seer's Ring, because I'll eventually be upgrading those to the Ultor Ring and Magus Ring respectively. I don't really care about the drops from Dagannoth Supreme, but it'll still be worth doing the Tribrid method since that'll be so much faster than trying to kill Rex and Prime individually for their respective rings. A Frozen King. I decided to just get that one real quick since that's for killing Rex while he's frozen. Dagannoth Supreme Champion, that's for 10 Supreme KC. And just like that, Dagannoth Prime Champion for 10 Prime KC. Okay, that's the end of the first trip. The big takeaway here is that this is way easier than I thought it would be. The respawn timing is still a little bit tight sometimes, but I didn't realize how easy it is to position yourself so that even if the next one spawns while you're still dealing with the previous one, it still can't aggro you. There's only one part that's actually hard, which is getting in the room and killing Supreme, but once I got past that hurdle, everything got really easy, so I think I'm gonna enjoy these tasks. Whoops, forgot to record that, but that is the first new unique, the Mud Battle Staff. It's not really useful, so I will be alking it. And there is Dagannoth Supreme Adept for 25 KC, and wouldn't you know, right after that is Dagannoth Prime Adept for 25 KC. That is the last of the KC tasks for the Dagannoth Kings, and the rest of them are mechanical challenges, so I'll just take care of them sometime later. Hey, there we go, that is the Seer's Ring. That is another one checked off the wish list. That's gonna be a Magus Ring a long time from now. Oh boy, there's the Warrior Ring. Got plenty of those. Oh boy, there's the Archer's Ring. I've now gotten every ring except the one that I'm looking for. I know it's not even been a full task yet, but I'm already getting flashbacks when I got almost every single item on the Dagannoth Rex drop table except for the Berserker Ring. Alright, I am just about at the end of the task, and I'm gonna see if you can notice something unusual about my equipment. Yeah, I am entirely out of Dragon Arrows. It's fine, I knew going into this grind that I'd use up the Dragon Arrow stack, and I am fine with that. It did its job making these first few boss tasks a lot faster, but from now on, I'm going to be using Rune Arrows, which are buyable from the Ranging Guild, and during my AFK downtime, I'm going to mine some Amethyst to start building up a stack of Amethyst Arrows. I'm also going to finish up this task at the regular Dagannoths because it's only 28 kills, and I don't think it's worth doing another trip of DKs for that. Hey, second ever whip on the account. Yeah, I had Abyssal Demons blocked for a long time on this account after I went really dry for my first whip. Another Abbey Demon task, another whip. Task number 100, we are going back to the Dagannoth Kings. Ooh, the Dragon Axe. I have gotten plenty of those during my original Berserker Ring grind. Alright, that is the end of the task. Between this task and the last one, it came out to just about a full drop rate for the Berserker ring just from the Rex kills, which means I am once again dry for the Berserker ring. I'll keep going for it on every Dagannoth task until I get the ring, and then I will probably never kill a Dagannoth again. That's a lie, I'll probably kill the regular ones in the catacombs. Okay, so I just got a Cave Kraken task, and that is finally the first one that I'm going to be blocking on this grind. I've gotten pretty lucky with the tasks so far, but Cave Kraken, no thank you. Ooh, we are going to Araxxor, 237 Araxxites, let's do it. Before I make my way over to the boss, I'm going to take a detour over to Varlamore to get myself a Hunter's Sunlight crossbow and some bolts for it. There's the crossbow made, and there is some bolts. I'll explain what all this is for later. Araxxor is a high-level Slayer boss that was added to the game last year, and I'm going to be killing it in a bit of an unconventional way. The go-to method for killing Araxxor is to use melee, specifically with the crush style, but I don't have a crush weapon worth mentioning, so I'm going to be using a much less popular method, ranged with a T-bow. The OSRS wiki says that T-bow beats any melee setup up to the Abyssal Bludgeon, so hopefully this should still work out pretty well. The fight is overall pretty simple. The boss will always melee you if you're in melee range, but it can hit you with a magic attack if you're further away, though it'll still try and move back to melee range. Every 3 auto attacks, it'll use a special attack that alternates between hatching one of the spiders around the room or launching acid at you. The spiders all have different special effects. The red ones walk towards you and blow up, the green ones range you, and the white ones are the most interesting. They absorb damage that you inflict on the boss, and they also have a recoil effect, so some of that damage will actually be sent back at you. That recoil effect also applies when you hit the white spider, but only with melee, so if you're using range like I am, you don't need to worry about it. There's one more mechanic with the spiders, which is that they always take max damage from a heavy range attack, which means ballistas or crossbows, and that's why I have this Hunter's Sunlight crossbow. It's a particularly fast crossbow with an attack speed of 3 ticks, so it's good for being able to quickly take out the white and green spiders, and for the red ones I just dodge the explosions like the explosive crabs at Verzik. The last mechanic of the boss is that once it gets to 25% health, it will enter an enraged phase where it attacks more quickly, and instead of using a normal melee attack, it uses an area-based attack that you have to dodge. Like I said earlier, I'm looking for the Araxxite Fang, which turns my Amulet of Torture into an Amulet of Rancor, and I'm also looking for the 3 pieces of the Noxious Halberd. There we go, that is the first kill done. This boss was actually the first one where Jagex started doing their new approach for boss loot, where you can either harvest the boss's corpse and get normal loot, or you can destroy the corpse, which gives up your chance at loot and instead gives you a double drop rate for the pet. Obviously, I'm going to be doing the normal option. Okay, loadout change coming in. I thought I would be able to get away with treating this like Zulrah or Vorkath, where you can get away with using regular anti-poisons, but that is very obviously not going to happen. I'm going to be bringing Antidote ++s. Their venom immunity only lasts for 18 to 36 seconds, but in a fight as short as this, that's pretty significant. Okay, I think I have figured out something important. In order to get the venom immunity from Antidote ++s, you have to sip 2 doses, one to go from venom to poison, and the other to go from poison to nothing, and you have to do that in between hits from the boss. So basically, that means I have to do it when it's hatching one of the eggs, because that is the only time the gap between attacks is long enough. This is gonna be difficult. I'll check in later once I have more of the fight down. Ooh, yes, the Spider Cave teleport. That is actually really nice because the run to get to the boss sucks pretty bad. So, oh my god, that's the Araxxite head at 5 KC. Okay, so I read up on this, and the Araxxite head has exactly 1 use, which is that you can use it on a Slayer helm to transmog it, but you have to spend 1,000 Slayer points to do that. It's also one of the several requirements to unlock the Amulet of Rancor transmog, but I don't really care about that in the slightest, especially because that makes it untradeable, so I wouldn't even be able to keep it on a UIM. So I am not keeping the head. Sorry to Whale, who went super dry trying to get it for the flex. Okay, another change coming in. I'm going to be switching to the Cure Me spell as my solution to Venom. The Antidote ++ strategy is pretty difficult to do correctly, whereas Cure Me allows you to fully cure poison and venom in 2 ticks. It just doesn't give an immunity period. So I'm thinking I'll just try and treat this like the Cure Me strat at Zulrah, where you just click your health orb twice every so often, and that resets the venom counter, so you always take the minimum amount of damage, and that's going to free up some inventory space. So I think I'm also going to take my Dragon Warhammer and try and send a spec or 2 at the beginning of each kill to improve my accuracy. Okay, there is the Let It Seep In CA for getting a kill without having venom or poison immunity. And there is a clog item, the Araxxor Venom Sac. That might come in handy later, so I think I'm going to stack those up in my bag. What? Why? There's an extra strat that I'm doing here for the Enrage phase that allows me to get some extra DPS in, and that is this Step Under strat. Whenever the boss does that area-based attack, it's actually capable of hitting itself if you're underneath the boss when it targets you. This was actually a lot easier to pick up than I thought it would be, and it's actually kind of nice because the pattern's really consistent and you don't really take damage while you're doing it. Araxxor Veteran for 25 KC. You know what? Sure, fuck it. Araxxor Head number 3 at 55 KC, why not? Ooh, Araxxor Speed Trialist, that is for 4 kills in 10 minutes, and with my gear, I guess that's pretty much equivalent to get a 4 kill trip. Dude, what the hell? Enough with the Araxxor heads, I don't need that. Ooh, perfect Araxxor. I definitely didn't think I would be getting that, especially considering I'm not prayer switching for the green spiders. I guess I just got really lucky there. And there is Araxxor Master for 75 KC. Cool, that's Araxxor Speed Chaser for 5 kills in 10 minutes. The speed tasks for Araxxor work differently from most bosses. It's based on the number of kills that you can do in 10 minutes. So for my gear, that basically translates to, can I get a 5 kill trip? Which I just did. Alright, I am just about at the end of this task now. Overall, I do like this boss, although it was really difficult to get a feel for. This boss is all about getting into a rhythm because you have to drag the boss around to the different eggs to handle them in sequence, but if you move too quickly, you end up outside the boss's melee range and it hits you with a magic attack. Most of the avoidable damage from Araxxor comes from that magic attack, so the real technique here is being able to drag the boss around while still remaining in melee range every time the boss is about to attack. I think I'm going to enjoy doing this boss long term for the Amulet of Rancor and the Noxious Halberd. It's just going to be a bit of a grind. Just doing this one task took me a few days, and that basically got me to the rate of 1 Halberd piece out of 3. There we go, task complete, and my Slayer point total is now over 1,000, which is pretty neat. Oh, cool, I got a Calphi task from Ea, and I'm going to go ahead and block that, so now I won't be able to get that from Ea or from Kuradal. There's just one more task I need to block, which is Spiritual Creatures. Ooh, looks like we are actually going right back to Araxxor, that's great. I am over the drop rate for the first Halberd piece, so it'll be nice to actually get a piece on this task, or maybe even the Fang? Ooh, yes, the elusive 100 raw shark drop. That is going to fuel a lot of trips here, nice. Ooh, hey, there's Arachnid Lover. That's for getting a 10 kill trip. Very nice. Stop! Fucking stop with the Araxxor heads. What the hell? 5 of them. 5. Yes, there we go. The Noxious Point. That is the first piece of the halberd. I went pretty dry on that. It is 1 in 200 for each piece, but I'm glad to have the first one done. I just got another Araxxor head. This is immensely stupid. That is number 6 in less than 400 KC. Alright, pretty uneventful for the rest of the task, 475 KC. I should be hitting the rate for the Fang and finishing the halberd on the next task. Oh, well, I decided to get a single task from Kuradal to see if I could proc the Slayer Cape perk for more Araxxor, and I ended up getting Dagannoth, so I guess we're doing that now. One downside of going for this halberd is that the individual pieces are untradeable, and you have to keep them in the inventory unlike the bludgeon. So I am -1 inventory slot right now, and I'll be at -2 inventory slots once I get the second piece. The full halberd is tradable though, so I can bag that once I get all 3 pieces. And another dupe dragon axe. Great. Dupe Archer's Ring. That is a dupe Archer's Ring. Woohoo. Dragon Axe. Dragon Axe. Draconical Woodcutter. Alright, that's the task. I'm just cleaning up the rest of them at the normal Dagannoth since I don't have enough left on the task for a full trip. I am now over the drop rate for the Berserker Ring just from the Slayer grind, so hopefully I can get that soon. Ooh, 233 greater demons. It's time to head to Tormented Demons. Alright, I am kinda uncertain about this inventory, but we're gonna see how it goes. I obviously have a lot of weird things that I'm bringing, but I'll explain in a bit. Tormented demons are basically the more advanced version of demonic gorillas. In fact, tormented demons from RS3 were what inspired demonic gorillas originally in old school, back before they knew that they were going to be backporting Wild Gothic sleeps. They have the same mechanics where they periodically switch overhead prayers as well as their own attack styles, so you need to switch your own to match. Because they're demonic and have a very high magic level, the weapons I'm using are the Arclight and the Twisted Bow. There's one extra thing that I'm going to be doing to get a bit of a DPS boost, which is taking advantage of this shield mechanic. At the beginning of the fight, after you aggro them, and every time they switch their attack style, their fire shield will go down to let you hit one powered up attack. And this attack has some unique mechanics surrounding it, but it basically boils down to bring a slow hitting crush weapon, which is why I have my Darox axe here. I was storing the Darox set in the stash unit, and the rest of the pieces are in my bag right now. So basically, when that shield goes down and it's not praying melee, I can switch to the axe and get a hit that automatically deals 33 extra damage, in addition to what the axe would normally hit. There's also an equivalent mechanic for ranged, which requires you to use heavy range damage like a crossbow, but I don't really want to take up more inventory space for that, so I am just using the axe. Hey, there's Unending Torment for the first KC. And through the fire and flames for killing one while its shield is down. Okay, I am a couple trips in and I'm making a small change to the loadout. The Darox axe is not worth it. My inventory space is pretty bad right now, so I would much rather bring more food and prayer pots and just have a more chill experience, not having to worry about that extra mechanic. And I'm also bagging the ranging pots and just bringing super combats because most of my DPS is coming from melee anyway. There's one of the reasons why I'm bringing thralls. Sometimes the thrall can trigger the overhead change, so I can just keep meleeing him for another cycle. Ooh, yes, that is the teleport scroll. The teleport here is really nice because the run here is just god-awful, especially considering you have to go through the whole animation of being carried down from the Tears of Guthix area. This does remove the need for the lantern if I can upkeep the stack of scrolls, but I'm still going to be bringing it because the lantern is actually kept on death. It's one of the few items that's kept on death for UIMs, which means if I die, I can actually get back to my death pile really easily. Ooh, cool. That is the first smoldering drop. I think this is the prayer one, so I'll try this out once I'm really low on prayer points. So this thing is really weird because you don't just pick it up and use it, you actually have to use it on the ground, and it just gives you a ton of prayer points over time. It's really nice. There's also one that restores health and one that boosts your stats a ton, so I'm excited to see what that looks like. There we go, task complete, 233 KC. That was pretty enjoyable, actually, so I'm looking forward to the next one. Hey, spiritual creatures. That is the last task I needed for my block list. Nice. There we go. I decided to dump a bunch of points on skips to try and get another Greater Demon task since I was having a good time there, and there we go. 230 more Greater Demons. Let's do it. Alright, well that was a very uneventful task. I'm up to 463 KC now with no synapses and no burning claws, so I'm starting to get a bit dry here. Hopefully that changes soon. I got the Slayer Cape proc, which means we're going right back in. Well, there's 500 KC, which means I'm now officially dry for the synapse and dry for the claw. Which kind of sucks, but that's just RNG sometimes. I will say, I really hope I can get the synapse sometime soon, because I do actually have a bit of a time limit when it comes to this, and that is the charges on my Arclight. I know they added the infusion mechanic to not punish you for using charges, but there's still the fact that if I run out of all my charges without getting the synapse, I'm gonna have to grind out some ancient shards to refill it, and I would definitely rather not do that. I'm currently at 4,200 charges out of 10,000, so I'll be able to get a bit under double the drop rate before I run out of charges. Yes! Let's go! Yes! Synapse! Oh my god, we got it. Ha ha! And that is 62 mil. Hell yeah! Okay, I'm really hoping the rounding on this math is favorable to me. Basically, whenever you use 100 charges, your Arclight gains 1% of infusion, and you have to be at 100% between your current charges and your infusion, so if it doesn't perfectly add up, I may need to either get some ancient shards to charge it back up a bit, or get down to exactly 3,800 charges. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, that's a little bit dumb, but after whacking Abyssal Demons with the Arclight 49 times, I am now at exactly 3,800 charges and 62% infusion, so I should be able to create this now. There we go, Emberlight, hell yeah. Emberlight has a few benefits over the normal Arclight, the first being that it has almost double the combat stats. And that's pretty nice because the only reason that Arclight was ever worth using was its passive effect, which increases your accuracy and damage against demons by 70%. Its base combat stats were pretty trash, so Emberlight increasing those is really nice. The spec is also improved a bit from the Arclight version, but the other really big benefit is that it's no longer degradable. It doesn't have charges at all, so I can use it as much as I want and I never have to worry about ancient shards again. And just like the Arclight, it's storable in the Catacomb stash unit, so I can keep it forever. Well, that is the end of the task, and I didn't get anything else, but I'm still really happy about that synapse since I'm no longer on a time limit for TDs. I'm still going to be doing these tasks when I get them because I still need a second synapse for the Purging Staff as well as the Burning Claws. And back we go to the Tormented Demons. I think I've changed my mind on the ranging potions. Since I have the Emberlight now, there is such a discrepancy between my melee and ranged DPS here, and I've also gotten confident enough in the method that I'm fine bringing fewer supplies to have better ranged DPS. I've also decided I'm going to skip the Sapphire Lantern since it's not going to be too bad of a process to make one to get back to my death pile if I die, since I have my construction cape and my POH that I can use for transportation. Well, after yet another uneventful task, that is the end of that one. I'm up to over 900 KC now, so I'm getting pretty close to 1,000, which basically means meeting the drop rate for all of the individual things I want, 2 synapses at 1 in 500, and 2 claws at 1 in 500 as well. Oh my god, I got the steel baguette! Holy shit! Oh my god, I was not expecting that. Holy shit! The stale baguette. That's super rare. Oh my god, I've been doing every single of that event, both the Sandwich Lady and the mystery box one, the Quizmaster, and I finally got the stale baguette. That is so cool. If I check this now in my collection log, I think it's under other random events, is green. Oh my god, that is like, I know there are lots of accounts that are going for like collection log completion where this is one of the ones that they can just never get. Just because it's so rare because it comes from random events. And you have to get that specific random event, and it's also a pretty rare drop from that random event as well. Oh, that's so cool that I have that on the UIM. That's like a trophy. And let's see here. Is it the fancy dress box? I'm pretty sure it's the fancy dress box that has all the... that has all of the things here. Yeah, I can store this. And that's now fully filled up. That is so cool. I forgot to record it, but I got another Greater Demon task. Let's do it. Well, that is Tormented Demon number 1000, which means I am at the drop rate for my second synapse and double the drop rate for my first Burning Claw, so hopefully this RNG turns around soon. Ooh, yes, that is the second synapse. There we go, I got both of the synapses that I needed. Okay, so I'm gonna do this just to show it off, but this is gonna be my Purging Staff that I'll be using for a certain boss later, and I'll explain more about it once I get to that point. You use the synapse on a battle staff to get the Purging Staff. Yeah, there we go. And unlike the Emberlight, you can actually revert the Purging Staff back to the synapse with no penalties, which makes it backable. So like I've been saying, I'm going to continue killing Tormented Demons since I still need both Burning Claw drops, and if I end up getting another synapse on the way, then that's cool since it'll be a nice cash infusion for the main. I ended up spending a lot of GP on the main to train up for the Inferno last video, so any big drops that I can drop over to the main are a big help. Alright, that is the end of the task, and the streak is now at 200. 182 Dagannoth, back to the DKs. Time to get this Berserker Ring. No! Stop! Oh, fuck.
In your dank cave, chilling with your bros, some guy walks up and kills your bro, and you see his bones turn to paper. What do you do?
After you left, someone showed up and just tagged Rex and then hopped.
What does hopping mean?
What is this world hop?
Oh, is it like the thing the kids say, like, world hop?
Yeah. Okay, that's pretty good. Dragon Axe, fuck.
Yay! Woo!
Also, I hate that joke is going in the video now.
Oh, hell no.
The Wet Dirt Battle Staff. Task complete. Maybe next time. Alright, I just completed task number 250, which gives me a ton of bonus points, and I think now is the time to go ahead and make my last really big purchase of the grind, which is unlocking task storage for a whopping 1,000 points. Basically, I can now store any task and swap it out with my current task at any time for free. That's going to be really nice for things like UIM Showdown, since I'll be able to go into the competition with 2 Slayer tasks lined up. Dagannoth Kings. Mud Battle Staff on the first prime kill of the task. Ooh, I missed this on the last kill, but I've now reached 256 Rex KC, so that is double the drop rate for the Berserker Ring just on the Slayer grind. Mud Battle Staff. Ooh, we are going back to the Tormented Demons. Okay, so I've just realized something that some people might be screaming about in the comments already. Apparently, the Scorching Bow, which is the third thing that you can make with the Tormented Synapse, is actually better than the Twisted Bow at Tormented Demons. I didn't realize that. It turns out they have a 20% damage reduction against everything except Demon Bane weapons and spells. So even though the T-Bow would normally be better against them because of their high magic level, even considering the 30% accuracy and damage bonus from the Demon Bane effect itself, that extra 20% does push it over the edge, so I'm going to be switching to the Scorebow at Tormented Demons from now on. Ooh, there we go. That is the first Burning Claw drop at 1303 KC. Okay, alright, that is task number 300 in the books. Hopefully I can get another TD's task soon, so I can get this last drop. Yes, got the Slayer Cape proc. 240 more of them. Let's get this claw. Oh no! That is Synapse number 3. Oh, that's unfortunate. It's the same drop rate as the claw, which would have ended the grind. That said, it's like 55 mil for the main, so I'm not exactly sad about that, I guess. Well, that's the end of the task at 1601 KC. It ended up getting me past the 1500 mark, which is 3 times the drop rate for the claw, which I only have 1 of right now, so we're still pretty dry on that second one. Tormented Demons, let's do it! And 202 KC of absolutely nothing later, we're up to 1803 KC. Ooh, Araxxites, and that's a lot of them too. I think I'm actually going to use this as my first stored task, since I kind of want to see if I can get the second Burning Claw or the Berserker Ring before I really go all in on Araxxor again. So whenever I want to kill some Araxxor in the future, I can just swap in this task and I am good to go. Alright, looks like I am getting to 2000 KC off this one, so hopefully I can see that claw soon. No! God damn it! I want the claw, not the synapse. 48 mil, these things are fucking crashing, of course. There's 48 mil for the main, I guess. Alright, well, I didn't end up getting anything else on the task, so that's now over 2,000 Tormented Demons killed without the second Burning Claw. 4 times the drop rate, and only 1 drop. We move on. More Tormented Demons time! We're doing the demons! 247. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Well, I was hoping this wouldn't happen before I got the second claw, but I managed to get a second Araxxite task. You can only store 1 task at a time, and I don't want to skip this task, so I think I'm going to be doing Araxxor for the foreseeable future. Hopefully I'll have some better luck there than I've been having at Tormented Demons. So, I'm actually excited about one thing here, which is that I ended up getting 6 Torstal Seeds from all those Tormented Demons, which is really big because that's going to allow me to make Extended Anti-Venom Pluses, which is the best poison and venom protection in the game. 1 dose of Extended Anti-Venom Plus gives you over 17 minutes of poison immunity and over 6 minutes of venom immunity, which is enough for a few kills at Araxxor. In fact, with the supplies I currently have, that's going to get me over 20 hours total of venom protection, which is really good for the extended Araxxor grind. This means 2 things for me. First, the grind is going to go a lot better since I won't have to be clicking my health orb all the time to cast Cure Me, and I won't have to be constantly restocking on runes. And secondly, I won't have to be on the lunar spellbook, so I can bring thralls, which should speed up the kills quite a bit. Okay, so here we go. First step is to use Zora Scales on my stack of Antidote Plus Pluses to get anti-venoms. I've been saving these Antidote Plus Pluses on my account for a long time, so it's nice to see them finally come in handy for something more than just regular poison immunity. Next up is using Torstals on the antivenoms to turn them into antivenom pluses. And finally, the step that was added with the Araxxor release, you can use Araxxite venom sacs on the antivenom pluses to turn them into extended antivenom pluses, 1 sac per dose. And this is going to be my new venom protection for Araxxor. And there we go, 212 doses of extended antivenom pluses for a total of 22.26 hours of venom protection. I'm going to save these last 16 doses of regular antivenom plus 2, since I'll get enough venom sacs to extend those as well. Okay, my loadout is set, and I've gone over my previous clips to remember how to kill this thing, and now it's time to kill up to 469 of it. I say up to because if I do both of these tasks in their entirety, it'll get me past the drop rate for the Fang, and I will also be over triple the drop rate for a single halberd piece, which means I'm basically going to be at the expected rate to have Araxxor fully completed. We'll see what happens in practice. Coagulated venom? Is that good? Hey, there we go. That is the second piece. Just one more to go for the Noxious Halberd. Ooh, good. I got a 100 raw shark drop, which is really nice because this boss is awful with potatoes, especially with a super crowded inventory like I have right now. Okay, so I completely missed this by a lot, but I ended up passing 600 KC, which is both the expected rate for the Araxxite Fang, which is used to make the Amulet of Rancor, and also the expected rate for getting all 3 halberd pieces, since they're 1 in 200 and you get them in order. So I'm starting to get a little bit dry at Araxxor, so hopefully things turn around soon. Oh my god, that's the Fang. That was literally the next kill after the last clip. Okay, so like I said, the Araxxite Fang is used to upgrade the Amulet of Torture into the Amulet of Rancor, the new best-in-slot melee neck slot item. It gives plus 10 to all melee accuracy bonuses over the Amulet of Torture, as well as 2 extra strength bonus. It also has negative magic and ranged accuracy bonuses, but that doesn't really matter since it's very much a melee-focused item. And thankfully, even though the Araxxite Fang is untradeable, the Amulet of Rancor is tradeable, so I can put it in my looting bag. If it were untradeable, that would be a pretty big trade-off for UIMs. At this point, the finish line is in sight for my Slayer grind. I started with 12 items on my wish list. I got the Pegasian Crystal from Cerberus, the Seer's Ring from the Dagannoth Kings, both Synapses and 1 Burning Claw from Tormented Demons, 2 out of the 3 halberd pieces from Araxxor, and now the Araxxite Fang, which I've turned into the Amulet of Rancor. This means I now have 4 drops left to get, all from different bosses. The Eternal Crystal from Cerberus, the Berserker Ring from the Dagannoth Kings, my 2nd Burning Claw from Tormented Demons, and the 3rd halberd piece from Araxxor. So, let's get to it. Man, getting that Fang drop made me really excited for the rest of the Araxxor grind. That 1 in 600 drop was like really hanging over my head, so now I just have to get the much more common 1 in 200 drop for a halberd piece, and I now have 332 more kills left to do it between my active task and my stored task. Okay, so that is the end of the first task, 224 Araxxites done. I'm really hoping that I can manage to finish Araxxor on the second task. All I need to do is get a 1 in 200 drop in 245 kills. So let's unstore the task. Cool, 245 Araxxites ready to go. Ha, nice, I got it. Wow, okay. That was funny. I decided to just try that on a whim because I was pretty sure I had the perfect kill. And yeah, I did have the perfect kill and I managed to pull off the perfect Araxxor 2 along with it. And I forgot to mention during that clip, the extra requirement for perfect Araxxor 2 is that you aren't allowed to attack the boss during the enrage phase. You have to use the step under mechanic and make the boss deal all of the damage to itself, in addition to not taking any unavoidable damage, of course. No! God damn it! No! Damn it! It's the wrong one! Okay, so let's talk about this Fang. I already got one of these and upgraded my Amulet of Torture, so I have no use for it on the UIM. On the main, it would be worth a lot. It has an effective worth of about 60 mil, which I would really appreciate. The problem is, the Fang itself is untreatable, so in order to transfer it to my main, I would need to get another Amulet of Torture, make the Amulet of Rancor, and then drop that over for a total value of about 83 mil. So the question is it worth it to do an extra grind in the middle of my Slayer grind to get the 1 in 300 Zenyte shard so that I can transfer this over to my main? And I think the answer is yes, but I'm gonna wait until the end of this task. Okay, well, that is the second task done, and I didn't end up getting the third halberd piece, which is pretty sad. I was really hoping I would be able to finish Araxxor off these 2 tasks. I decided to get my next task to see if I could get the Slayer Cape proc, and I ended up getting a Greater Demon task, so I guess it's gonna be Demonic Gorillas until I can get a Zenyte shard, and then back to the TDs. Demonic Gorillas, a place that I never thought that I would be going back to unless I wiped my account or something. You unlock these after beating the Monkey Madness 2 quest, and they have one really important drop, which is the Zenyte shard at 1 in 300, which can be used to craft Zenyte jewelry. I already made all 4 Zenyte jewelry pieces a long time ago, but now I need 1 more shard for this Araxxite thing. Demonics are basically a simpler version of Tormented Demons, so I'm going to be using pretty much the exact same strategy I was using for those, except I'm not going to be bringing Thralls since my inventory is starting to get a bit cramped. One other thing that's actually pretty convenient about this timing is that Demonic Gorillas actually got an update pretty recently that makes them switch prayers less often and also makes them unaggressive, which is really nice. It means you can kill them anywhere in the cave, not just the single combat areas, so it is way less crowded. And there is the first unique, the Light Frame, which is entirely useless to me. 1 in 750, by the way. It's actually more rare than the Zenyte shard. Oh my god, I got it. That was so fast. It was like 12 or 13 kills there. And it's a 1 in 300 drop. That is so lucky. Okay, I've got 29,000 Chaos Runes. Time to go through this whole process. Selling the runes for Tokkul, buying an Onyx, getting a Gree, fusing the Onyx with the Zenyte shard, making the Amulet of Torture, adding the thing to upgrade it, and dropping it to the main for 80 mil. Definitely worth that diversion. Alright, time for 215 more Tormented Demons. You already know the deal, looking for that second Burning Claw. Yes! Yes! I'm done. I got the Burning Claw. Yes! Let's get the fuck out of here, man. Woo! That was actually really early on in the task. That was kill number 6 of the task. So I guess I just don't have to do that task after all. It's really funny. 2287 total KC, and Tormented Demons are done. And to actually make these, I believe you just used one on the other, and there we go. Burning Claws, the first spec weapon that I'm actually keeping on the account, keeping in the bag. Not like the Dragon Dagger where I can just buy it or something. There we go. That's awesome. There we go. 219 Araxxites. Let's finish this one off too. Well, there's 1,000 Araxxor KC. I did not think I would be making it this far. It's 5 times the drop rate for a single halberd piece, and I currently have 2. We keep going. Yes! Yes! Yes, yes, yes. We're done. We're fucking done here. Let's get out of here. Woo! Alright, kill number 1030 for the third halberd piece. What do? Do I just use these on each other? Do you wish to combine all these to create a Noxious Halberd? It's non-reversible. Yes, I would like to do that. There we go. The Noxious Halley. That is so cool. Alright, I'm really happy I managed to get that done. Alright, so this thing is going to be a very important part of my melee loadout, and not only is it my new best slash weapon, it is a halberd, which means it has an extra tile of range compared to the normal melee weapons. Normally, that's more of a gimmick than anything, but it's actually going to be a big deal when I go back to the Theater of Blood. I'm very glad to have this one out of the way. Okay, so I am now fully done with Araxxor, but I'm actually not done with Araxxite tasks, and that's because Araxxites are actually a pretty good barrage task. It's a bit trickier than normal barrage slayers since the big ones are 2x2 enemies, but they do drop the Arania boots, and they also have superiors. I think this is how you're supposed to do it. You sort of run to opposite sides of one Araxxite and freeze it on each side back and forth, and they kind of stack up. I'm going to work on trying to figure this out and see if there's anything I can do to make it easier. Alright, so I've run into my first superior, and the superior Araxxor has a special attack that removes your venom resistance and fires an attack that hits you for over 50 damage if you don't reapply your venom resistance before then, which is why I still have this stack of venom sacks. Ooh, wow, that went by really quickly. I think I'm gonna enjoy these tasks. I also didn't realize they are aggressive, unlike most barrage tasks, so that's actually really nice. Alright, Dagannoth, and it's literally the minimum amount I can be assigned. That's great. Let's go get a Berserker ring. The Burning Claws actually makes the process of entering the DK's layer a lot nicer since you can just sort of burst down Supreme. It still sucks, but it's not as bad now. And there's the first unique of the task, Mud Battlestaff. Ooh, my first Seer Coal. That is a clue item, so I'll build the stash unit for that after I finish the trip. It also means that I've now gotten every unique from the Dagannoth Kings on this Slayer grind, except for the Berserker ring. And the pets, but I don't really count those. It's the Berserker ring that I care about. 1,000 Rex KC, that's a milestone, right? Dragon X, that's the end of the task, no Berserker ring. 172 Dagannoths, we're bringing it home this time, I swear. Dragon X, is this getting old yet?
Archer's ring, there we go, that's another one. 2.7 mil for the main, not the one that I'm looking for. And a Dragon Axe. Oh boy. Another Dragon Axe. Another one.
Oh, I didn't even realize that I finished the task, but I finished the task. No Berserker ring, 406 kills on the grind. Oh my god! Oh my god! I got the imbued heart! Holy shit! Oh my god! Holy shit! I got the imbued heart! Oh my god, that's so fucking rare. That's so fucking rare and so fucking good. That is endgame gear. I'm keeping that forever. That is immensely good, and I am so happy that I got that. Wow! Okay, so let's talk about the Imbued Heart. This is a very unique item. You can invigorate it, and it boosts your magic level by 10, which is more than you can get from any general use potion. So not counting things like raid overloads, where you can only use it in that raid, you can use this anywhere. But the thing that makes it such a big deal is that it's reusable. You can use it every 7 minutes, and it doesn't use up any supplies or anything. It is completely free. I just have this button that I can click to get a plus 10 magic boost. And that has a huge effect on things like my Tunic and Shadow, which gains 5 max hits when I'm wearing my best mage loadout, on top of the accuracy benefits from being boosted 10 magic levels. I am very excited for when I can start using this for PvM. Oh hey, Dark Bow. That is entirely useless to me, but pretty cool. Okay, this is the very next superior after the Imbued Heart, so there is about a 1 in 200 chance for the craziest thing to happen once this guy dies. Damn it. Yes, let's go. Let's take it home for real. 190 Dagannoths. Guys, I'm gonna need you to not clown on me for what you're about to see. I'm doing the solo Rex method for this whole task. I know that my Rex kills per hour are basically the same between the two methods, so there's really no reason to do the solo method, but I also don't really want to do Rex off task, and this lets me get more on-kill tasks in the long term. Plus this method is a lot more chill and low effort, so I can pay attention to my other screen more. I also wanted to show this off. It's the first place where I am now using my new Imbued Heart. Just like that, 5 extra max hits on my Shadow, and I can click that every 7 minutes. Oh boy, it begins. Red woodcutting device.
Third page.
Ooh.
Right here.
Oh my god, I got gilded. Holy shit. That is my second piece of gilded ever. And the first one was like recent. What the hell? Is this in the same set? This might actually be the same set. Oh, it's the same piece, except it's the plate skirt instead of the plate legs, which means, can I store this? I can store it. Okay, I'm never seeing this again. Let me put it on real quick. There it is. That's what it looks like. And
So I think I can store both of these at the same time. Yeah, I can. Wow. Okay, so it's not an extra piece towards the set, but yeah.
That's good.
And another warrior ring. Oh boy, is it Dragon Axe time already?
Oh my god, there it is. I got it. Oh my god, 1255. 1255 total kills for my second Berserker ring. It's a 1 in 128 drop. Oh my god. 551 kills on this one grind. It's over. It's over. It is over. It's over. It's over. It's over.
And at this point, I need to point something out since it's actually kind of poetic. After over 4 times the drop rate for the Berserker ring off of this one grind, I am once again just a few ranks off the front page for Dagannoth Rex, just like I was in late 2021 after getting my first one. At this point, there is only one item left to get on the Slayer grind, the Eternal Crystal from Cerberus. There we go, Hellhounds, and more Hellhounds. Yeah, I actually got 2 tasks of these, so hopefully I can grab the Eternal Crystal off of these 2 tasks and finish off the Slayer grind. You saw me fighting Cerberus towards the beginning of this video, and there's actually been a pretty big development here, which should make the grind a lot nicer. Jagex put an update into the game very recently that made Cerberus a lot easier and a lot better for Iron Men. It has to do with the Ghost attack, the one that drains your prayer a ton, and it also has to do with the Ward of Arceus spell. This spell was previously pretty niche. The biggest effect was that it reduces damage from demonic enemies by 10%, but these changes also added a new effect. It cuts the prayer drain effect from the Ghost attack by 30%. So instead of draining up to 90 prayer points, it only drains up to 63, and that's going to cut down a ton on my prayer potion usage, which is great because that stack is getting pretty low. Okay, Word of Arceus is up, so I should only lose 21 prayer damage from each of these. There we go, very nice change. This lava pool attack also got changed too. It fires more slowly so you have more time to get out of the way, and it also doesn't do AoE damage anymore. It only damages you if you're standing directly on it, not next to it. Oh my god, there it is. The Eternal Crystal. Oh, I got so lucky on that. Oh my god. Honestly, I've been really lucky with Cerb on this account. Really happy with that. And with that, the Slayer wishlist is complete. I've gotten everything I set out for at the beginning of this video, and even managed to snag the Imbued Heart, which is something that I was expecting to have to spend months grinding for in the endgame of this series. I've been through a lot on this grind. Over the past 42 days, I have gained almost 6 million Slayer XP and gotten plenty of upgrades for the account, but you'll notice that some of these items are not yet in their final form. So in the next video, I will be getting to work on that. See you then.